Otherwise, they just start doing a bunch of expensive routines.
Yeah, unless I have a proof of being your wife and saying, no, that's not
That's
happening.
not what I want.
Yeah, that's not what he wants. Well, couldn't you also write something down that said,
I don't know.
in case of my, I mean, that's something to look up, that in regards to being in
But
Bali.
that also would be notarized.
Yeah, well, in regards to being in Bali, I think we just have to look up what kind of paperwork do we need to have in order for, if something happened to you, what do we need to make sure that they didn't do anything that you didn't
Or
want.
that they listen to you.
Right.
And then now it's, now we're very clear about certain things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, last night it was in a lot of trouble.
Why?
I don't know, I think it was, a pee thing. So, it just sent me into the realms of thought that were very, well, what if this happens, and what if that happens, and we don't have a marriage with us? Because that is the bottom line in terms of getting instructions. The medics, they will act towards the most expensive routine they can find.
They will act towards saving your life. They will act towards reviving you or resuscitating you. And if I didn't have, I mean, there probably are certain things that have to be in place in order for me to be able to say no. Me just saying I'm your wife is probably not going to cut it.
So there's certain things that would happen that if given resuscitation from them, I would be left quite crippled or and I don't want that.
Or in a vegetative something,
Yeah,
or
any one of those.
or
things.
just something that you wouldn't want to be in anymore. You know.
Yeah, I don't need to be living it. That's
No. If you died or something happened and they revived you, a certain amount of oxygen loss in your brain would cause certain things to happen, in which you wouldn't be yourself anymore.
So, they definitely do act on so-called saving light.
Yes, it would, and unless I have paperwork saying no, we have paperwork saying no reviving, no drugs, no surgeries, no nothing. Just let him die.
The opiates.
Yeah, no nothing that would keep him alive. If he is in a situation where he's not going to live, or where you have a seizure and it's bad and you become incapacitated. I was thinking about that really strongly when we were in, it makes me scared too. When we were in Bali in that last week, the very last week we were there, you had 5 seizures. And they were very violent. You were chewing your teeth up, you were chewing your mouth up.
Suddenly we're a long distance away from that.
Yeah,
Time.
I know. So you haven't had them in a long time, which is great.
But when when John and you went to the hospital with me, their immediate action was to give me this drug, Dilantin, which was going to cause me great problems. And I took myself off of it.
Yeah, and everyone around you, even me, was worried, because I had read things about it being really dangerous to wean yourself off those things. You your brain can get hurt or something, because you can't just stop taking them. Yeah, so that is something we have to have. I just need to do research about. We need our marriage certificate because that's probably all we need.
I think it's all we need, and I think that has all the all the power stuff.
Yeah.
And also, I don't mind making a statement too. Because remember, Ariel has a statement on her refrigerator to anybody who comes in finding her.
Yeah. She has a do not resuscitate thing.
Yeah, and I want one of those too.
Yeah, I mean, what a horrifying thing it would be if something did happen to you. But the thing is, if something did happen to you and I just let you die, then, you know, that's different than calling an ambulance. The thing that happens is you call an ambulance and then people come and try to resuscitate you.
I mean, there's also the what is happening thing, because you don't know what's happening, maybe.
Right.
It depends. In any event, that's an interesting thing.
Yeah. Well, for example, when you had the first seizure, you know, I ran upstairs screaming for John because I was terrified. I didn't know what was going on. I thought you were dying. I was screaming in your face, full volume, and you didn't hear me, and I didn't have any concept of what was going on, so I naturally ran upstairs screaming for John's help, and he saw it and knew it was a seizure, and then he forced us to go to the hospital. And in that moment, we both could have said, no, we're not going to the hospital.
Yeah, John really likes going to the hospital.
Because he's rich.
Well, he's also,
He's just very into medical stuff. He believes in that stuff. And he believes very much in living as long as you can, and how cool it is that somebody can live in a bed, you know, just slowly dying for years. He thinks that's great. Like, how cool is that John Perry Barlow lived for 4 years on his deathbed, basically. Thought that was so awesome. And he'll do that too.
yeah, I'm not, I'm into dying well.
Excuse me. Yeah. And I am into that too. I would never want you to live in an incapacitated state. You're either yourself, you're Thoth, or you're not alive anymore. Because taking care of you in the seizures is hard enough. But, you know, we have managed with those because they have happened every 2 months or so. And they're not happening anymore, you know, so maybe
They happen in a month, and they happen in a month and a half.
Yeah. Initially they were every 4 months. If you had the very first one and it was 4 months later you had them again.
Well, I remember it happening every month.
No. I can go back and look at the vlogs, and so I documented every single one, even the one when you had the seizure first time. And John was so mean to me, of course. Very, you know, I was just saying, I just wanted to answer me, and he said, well, it's not about you. Dickhead. Me.
And what was that? Dignity?
Probably Sissy.
Last night was a complex night, and I woke up at 12 with a bit of a problem that kept me up, and then it started getting me really nervous in regards to my thoughts started to tumble into a very causal place, where if this happens and this happens and this happens, then we don't have a marriage certificate, and then
Yeah.
so when I woke up this morning, I'm fine.
Good.
I'm being fine is interesting.
Good.
Mm.
It is very strange how we're third. I mean, I've never met anyone in my life who has such a large age gap as we do, and it's never really been an issue for us in an interesting way. I think I remember asking you in the past, like, is my youngness, do you feel like you kind of have to talk down to me or talk in more simple words because I'm so young and I'm not as wise as you are or something? And you said, no.
You say it like that? It sounds silly.
I think I asked you something like that a long time when I was like in my early 20s.
Like, for some reason you had been thinking about some difficult issues already.
Maybe.
You were thinking about difficult issues, either because you were bullied or because you were looking at operas and you were looking into the stories of things, or you had a fixation on morbid subjects.
Yeah.
I don't have a fixation on morbid subjects, but my thoughts are very I would say free. And freedom of thought always leads to well, it doesn't always lead to that, but I have an extremely compassionate soul, and so I have an immensely caretaking nature. I mean, in terms of my own art, I think that my art comes from that compassion and caretaking, energetically caretaking. It's so when we got together, one of the first things I saw was that you were being bullied. And that was, I spoke to that pretty quickly, didn't I?
Yes, you did. You were very kind and understanding about that towards me. Very compassionate. And no wonder. Now I know you so well. It's like, no wonder you were that way. That I would come to the tunnel and I would tell you often, I'd just been singled out in class, and people were asking me, why do you have to dress the way you're dressed, and why do you have to wear pink wigs to class, and you're just making everybody uncomfortable, and it would make me cry and make me feel so isolated. And you were really the first one who was just like, you were protective of me from a very early point. Remember that guy who tried to make out with me in the tunnel? The crazy homeless guy. He motioned me over one day when I was first hanging out with you, and he tried to stick his tongue down my face. And I'm like, what? And I ran over you and like huddled down next to you, and I said, Thoth, this happened, I'm scared. And I barely knew you. I think I'd known you for 2 days or something, and you motioned this guy over because you knew him well. And you told him to apologize to me, and he did.
I don't remember that at all.
No way I do.
It's very much large.
Yeah, you were very protective of me from a very early, within the first day or two of meeting you.
I would say that's kind of my nature.
Yeah.
But also, once you were, you showed such a young wisdom, let's call it.
Yeah, I do. I've always felt much older than I am. Now that I'm,
There,
it's just morning gunk. Now that I'm 35, I feel like I'm 60. I'm kind of sitting in that feeling of that I feel so much older than I am now. And I have so much more life I have to live. And deal with this reality
There's
that
so much more life I have to live.
50 years of time that I have to live in this world that I don't really like being in.
Actually, you're going to be 35 when I'm 70.
I'm going to be 36. I'm 35 now.
Oh. We did that halfway thing already.
We did. Yeah, and so it's strange that our age difference has never really gotten in our way, because you have a childlikeness to you also. Silly, sweet, childlike nature in you too. Very energetic and playful.
Yeah, when I start get into performance and it's all safe and welcomed and then the extremely playful character in my expression comes out, and then it can be extremely so. As I'm playing downstairs, I'm not so playful.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit more meditative in it, and that's good too. It doesn't.
Yeah.
But also playfulness comes out when I experience people.
Mm-hmm.
And get extremely playful with people who will try to stop me.
Yeah. Oh God! But in Bucharest, there's footage of you, these people like shaking their fingers at you, and you were going through a certain area, and you were like banging on the grate, really.
It was right outside an art studio or something.
Yeah,
It was
really.
in a theater, or it was something like
Yeah,
that.
and you're like, you can't stop me. See, I'm gonna bang on the grate.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bang on it. See, can't stop me. Very
And
rebellious.
my little fellow came out too. Well, the only thing, as the only thing that they can really do is turn up an amplifier.
Yeah.
And
even then.
And even then, yeah.
Battle the amplifier.
I battled amplifiers.
You have.
The Afrobat's amplifiers, yeah.
And another aspect is you're incredibly patient with me. You've always been, I was looking back at old footage yesterday and from 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, and I was just a little kid. And
What is patience? That means you go to the hospital when somebody's gets you with a solution. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Patient. Patient. They inject you with a solution.
No.
You're cut up.
No.
Yeah.
No.
They peer into your insides. They pull out your guts,
Go.
sew them up, and stick them back in.
Okay. No, you're patient with me. You're a very patient man. See, giggles.
I'm a patient man.
You're a very patient man.
When I hear this man thing, I just have rebellion against this word. I'm a two man.
You're a two men?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm two men.
You're a very patient being.
That I like a lot, being.
Very patient being.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's another thing about us that's strange is that I don't see myself as a woman. You don't see yourself as a man. And that's a very strange aspect of who we are as people. Is we don't look at ourselves as how we're physically represented in the world. Even though I wear lots of pink and colors and bright colors, I see myself.
I wear a lot of pink and colors now too.
Yes, you do. You used to only wear black and gold.
Black, gold, and red.
And
I still wear red.
Yeah, and I used to only wear baby pink.
See, I have red on right now. I love my red robe.
Yes, you do.
And you have a pink robe. This is our morning garb.
Morning garb, yeah. So, that's a strange thing. So and I've always been very colorful and fairy-like in my way of, in my appearance, and pastel colors and bright, striking rainbow colors and stuff, and rainbow hair and all sorts of shit. But I don't see myself as a girl, and I'd very much like to remove these, and but I wouldn't change the way I dress. I would never try to dress boyish or like a boy.
Yeah, that is interesting from that standpoint. You don't do that. There are some who do put on pants or muscle shirts or something like
Yeah,
that.
no, I would never do that. Or baseball caps or something.
Yeah.
I would never dress like a boy or like a man. And I would never want to look or sound like a man. I would never want.
That is absolutely not what you do.
No, I would never want. I see myself as like an agender or a prepubescent boy.
And in a certain sense, that's the boys' choir sound.
That's how I sound. And our friend Lars is the only person who we've met who kind of represents that way of dressing, the different patterns of colors, and he's very much a man.
Does he?
But he doesn't see himself as that.
I don't think he does.
No,
either.
he doesn't. But for me, he looks like a boy. He looks like a man. He doesn't try to not be a man. He has facial hair and he has a deep voice, and he's not. It's not like he's a gay man or he's a feminine. He's not a feminine man. He's a sensitive, sweet, etc., etc. He's not manly, but he is male. He's a male,
Yeah.
and but he dresses really bright colors and stuff. And that's how I see myself, is like a boyish kind of thing that wears bright colors. And you are something else.
I guess I am. I mean, if one classifies me, one gets into trouble. But as I said, I think of myself as Tumen. I'm Tumen.
What is it?
Being TWOMAN. It's I've always pushed that in myself. Using both hands, being very ambidextrous, and also in my thinking. As a so-called male, there are certain qualities that are never really so supported to be, and I do those things. I'm very gentle. And at the same time, I can be full of my roar. So,
Yes.
I mean, when we are at our archetype selves, one can see us as beast and the fairy.
And the maiden. Yes.
But as we are perceived further, it's much more complex than that.
Yes. Yes, yes. Yeah, and that's also very strange and interesting, is that we represent the kind of, where you're like the scary monster when in performance, you're like the roar thing, and then I'm like the beautiful fairy creature, and I don't pull back from that. I very much love the ethereal.
And that's when things really twist, when I lift up into my high voice, and then we're in a different relationship, though the same.
Yeah.
It's
yeah, that is interesting. And then when people get to know us, the people who get to know us, you know, I immediately finish a performance or whatever, and I start cursing, and I'm very, you know, like sailor mouth, and very blunt and very real, and not dainty, and not.
makes me laugh. That's what makes me laugh.
Yeah. It makes people laugh.
What you did just recently, you just did that.
I remember it makes Forrest laugh a lot because he's.
Yeah, you gutter mouth.
I am.
And I'm like dainty.
Yeah, you're dainty, prissy little you're dainty little thing. Like outside of performance, you're this dainty little fairy, whereas I'm this, you know, rough and tough kind of person.
Then in the restaurant, I'm saying, well, I like this dish, and then get over here and change.
It's like, don't just take this back. I'm not paying for it, you stupid fucking, you know.
There.
Or when people are
cursing like crazy,
bothering us or harassing us in the street, I'm like, go away, leave us alone, thank you. You know, I have no trouble telling people.
I'm giggling at them. And
oh, so sorry, maybe please could I?
It's interesting when that all of a sudden pivots, because it can.
Oh yeah.
And then trouble happens.
Oh yeah. Somebody fucks with, like, really tries to fuck with you or is disrespectful towards you, you can lose it, completely lose it. Whereas I don't have that. I don't have that kind of rage in me. Remember in the...
It's very interesting. The police, everybody. There's not a single person who, if they trigger me in that way, all of a sudden I become this berserk.
Just berserk person.
Yeah. And that's the beast monster.
In regards to me too. If someone is threatening me, or there's some situation in which where someone is gonna hurt me, you go into berserk or protective mode. And I know you will, you know. But I'm very good at day to day, like telling people to leave us alone and not bother us, and no, I don't want that. Yes, I want this.
I think that's funny.
It is funny.
It's
this weird opposite back and forth thing that yeah, my voice is very angelic and ethereal and magical, and the way I dress is that way when in day-to-day life, and I am an ethereal, magical little creature, but I'm also very rough and tumble, and I'm very street smart.
Street smart is not really a good description of it, because street smart is it's more you're upfront.
Yeah, I'm straightforward.
Whereas I'm much more reserved, and I also, in my experience of people and friends, I'm much more reserved with people. You all of a sudden are hugging everybody, giving them kisses.
And I spill my guts to strangers everywhere.
Which also hurts you later,
Yes.
because then somebody is not really as forthcoming as you expected, and then it just hurts.
Yeah.
So I'm keeping distance, watching people, but of course that comes from my background.
Yeah. And I also have this, deep desire to be loved and accepted for who I am and for my talents, and and I feel, very much worthy of being loved and accepted for who I am and for my voice and my art skills and all that. And you're different from me.
And I everything is all about it. And that's also where I get very rough. There's a certain point past which I will insist upon my right to play and sing. And like in this place, I'm very kind to everybody around, in the sense that I don't want to just blow their apartment apart. I'm gonna be all right. But once you put me out in the street and we start doing a walkabout, and I go through my ceremony to begin, and then there's nothing that stops me. I'll be playing with the jackhammers.
People will be mocking you or making fun of you, and you'll
chase them down the street.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It gives me a wonderful, and it's because it's so transformative. It's taking all of that and turning it into a loving expression.
Yeah.
And that is something that is so special that I learned about myself, that I can do that.
And I'm the opposite of you in regards to that. Is when we play in public or anywhere, I'm very sensitive to bothering people. If somebody says it's too loud, or if I'm always worried that somebody's going to come over and bother us. And if police come or any authority figure, I'm always like, we need to stop immediately. I'm always getting you to stop, or when the police come and you're ready to blow their heads off, you have to tell you to shut up and stop.
Well, that's something that was new in us.
What?
Well, that didn't happen at first. The trusting you to protect me with telling me to not go this way was not easy to get to, because we were arrested because I wouldn't stop.
Yeah, and probably if I had known you for a long time before that had happened, I would have stopped you and said, no, we just need to stop, and then that wouldn't have happened. But because I wasn't close to you then, I wasn't able, and I wasn't even going to. I was in a very different mindset. I was in that rebellious, you can't stop me mindset too, even though I was absolutely terrified. But as I've gotten older, my job has been to protect you from getting killed by, killed or injured or taken away for singing. Which is ridiculous that is the case, but you become a complete loose cannon when we play in public spaces, or it's only me that you'll listen to in regards to needing to stop.
Yeah, there really isn't any. I've become a warrior. Warrior artist.
Yeah.
And it's very. And I guess when I'm kind of getting ready for walkabout, I know that that's where I'm going to be going, and so my heart rate goes up like crazy, and I get very, very enthused.
Yeah.
But that is an interesting thing.
Yeah. We have these yin and yang things that kind of swirl around each other, where we support one is a certain way and supports the other, the opposite. You being this dainty flower in day-to-day life, I protect you by being assertive and being, pushing people away or being bothersome or whatever.
Well, you get us. It's not a protection. That's not. It's more you get us through certain obstacles. Whereas yes. I'm kind of, well, I don't think I'd want to hurt their feelings by doing that. And you go, get out of our way. We're going this way.
Yeah.
Right?
Or,
That's pretty much what it is. It's more that.
Yeah. Or in regards to getting around the world, or figuring things out and getting through borders and securities.
Yeah, I don't talk anymore.
No.
Because I will say strange things by my gentleness.
You'll be too nice. They'll say, so what are you doing here? Say, oh yeah, we're gonna come and play music for people because we're some magical little never. Well, you can't do that here. And you take your passport and everything. You've done that.
Yeah, I have done that.
You're too nice.
And that resulted in horrible things for us.
Yeah, horrible.
There's a too nice thing, and then there's your gruff and no nonsense.
Yeah.
And it's really good.
Yeah.
And I let that be. Once I realized that was helpful, and I did start shutting up.
And especially in regards to speaking to security or authority at borders or anything, you never say a word, because I'm gonna say, they say, what are you doing? We're here visiting. How long are you here? This long?
Yeah.
And like, for example, when
we're in more danger with my gentleness, because
Yes.
if they cross a certain thing, then all of a sudden I'm switched. And,
yeah, then you'll go crazy.
Yeah, which almost happened at the airport, which was on the wait. Yeah, I was starting to get really revved up against this the person who told us that we were overweight in the bags.
Right. And I have to calm you down and say we just have to do what we have to do. You were becoming upset about it, and I know in regards to flying or any international anything is you just have to do what you're told until you get through it, and then you're home free. Whereas you'll start, you would start complaining about, we're flying internationally, how are we supposed to, you would start like trying to create a dialogue about it.
Yeah, and it would escalate for me.
Yeah, it would become because you're already, triggered. You get triggered when.
But I am escalated. I don't like that weight thing.
Yeah.
I think it's unfair that
it is.
That we as light beings, and light LIGHT and LITE. Well, we're light beings, and we're traveling an airline, and they have this bag weight, and we are in our weight bodily and our bags. We're lighter than a lot of the beings who are traveling, and they without their bags. Why should we be able? This is my argument with them, and I want to get into a dialogue.
And it's totally useless. No, it's not. It's completely useless to.
And they won't even understand what I'm talking about either.
And they don't. Whatever you say, they don't care. There's rules. That's how it is here.
Yeah.
And you complaining and arguing with them is not going to cause anything to happen, other than them to say, "Well,
and
you're going to now have to pay. You're now going to have to pay for this stuff." Whereas me just slowly taking shit out of the bags and weighing it, it got to 4.5 kilograms. I'm like, "Is that okay?" And they said, "Okay." And then I put everything back in the bags once they were scanning them. So it didn't matter at all. You just have to do what you're told. There are certain situations where you just have to do what you have to do.
Now that is the revolutionary spirit in me. That is so.
Yeah.
What is that? It's interesting. It's extremely strong.
It's this rebellious.
It's very strong, and with you in my life, it has really helped me deal with some of those things, because if you're not there, boy, I get in trouble.
You get in trouble because you either get really fiery and feisty about something, or you're just too dainty and fragile, and then you get yourself hurt because you give away too much information or whatever.
Yeah.
Whereas it's like, I don't like the way the world is. I hate the way the world is. The world is greedy. People are greedy, selfish. Everybody's focused on money and material possessions and wealth and status and all this crap that I don't care about. But we are living in it, and we have to survive. And we're responsible for each other, and I'm responsible for you. And that's another aspect that's made me feel older, is that in the last year and a half, I've really taken responsibility for you, getting you around the world, and we just.
And I've reduced responsibility.
Yeah,
I surrendered to ignorance. And I find that to be, I surrendered to ignorance. I don't handle money. I don't look into the plans.
You don't even
And
know where
there
you're
are
gonna be
times
staying.
there are times where when just a glance at something I catch a misspelling and it's one of those things that I'm actually quite good at and would have been an amazing editor. But I really hold myself in a neutral space because I have given over those things so that we can survive my rebelliousness.
Yes. And you are rebellious in your own way when we travel by wearing a million necklaces and your little negligee.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's funny when you need to take off this thing, and then I take off and I have this little skimpy outfit on, and practically nude going through the scanner, and then all of them are going, ooh.
These little old men.
That's
They
very
don't know
funny.
what's going on. But I'm always very, like you're giggling and laughing about it, but I'm always very like, do this, because it's, borders and stuff are very dangerous. You can get in a lot of trouble. You can get pulled aside. You can get taken away. You can, that's why I don't want to travel as we have been traveling so much anymore, because, every month we're having to go through some kind of official border shit.
The border from Bali to Thailand was tough.
So hard. And leaving Thailand was okay. They were very forgiving of the fact we'd overstayed a day. But they were definitely staring at us very much when we were going through security. But then I, did this very straightforward thing in which I walked straight up to them and I said, look, we've overstayed by a day. It was a mistake. I bought the tickets months in advance and I didn't, organize the days correctly. Can you just let it go? And they said, sure.
Yes, so that is definitely aids us.
Yeah, it's a really important aspect of,
that-
and it helps me know that when you're gone, then I will be able to continue to survive, just doing what's necessary. I'm very practical. I'm actually a very practical person, very logical, very practical.
Yeah, your father's like that.
Yeah.
My practicality comes in an extremely organized and
Yes.
very fastidious. There's fastidiousness to me.
Yeah.
But I also we also live with a hovering over us is that I am so older and death is much more present for me, and I speak about it much more, knowing that according to the laws of life, I am closer to death than you are. Some people say you never know what will happen, but it doesn't really matter. Yes, you never know, but you don't know. So what you do know are the potentialities and my own feelings about death, which we've talked about quite in depth. It's very important for me to be very transparent about that issue, and we live with that.
We talk about it all the time.
And that's interesting too.
Yeah, that is interesting because of our age difference, there is a deep awareness that you're not going to outlive you by
there's fragility, a tenuousness.
Yeah, and that it is very hard for me sometimes to. Even sometimes when you just leave the room to get water or something, and I'm alone in the house, I'm like, how am I going to live? How am I going to keep breathing when you're no longer there? Because I really, like I said, I don't really like the way the world is. And the idea of being alone in it just makes me really sick and nauseated and sad. And
That's one of your sadnesses.
yeah,
It's one of the sadnesses that if somebody says, well, just be happy, and it's different. It's much more complex to be sad about this issue than it is to be happy. Oh, happy, you're going to be dead. Hey, I'll go along. We're also very deep about my death in regards to dying well and passing that extraordinarily powerful energy of my being to the tribe. And at the moment, going back to Bali feels like that's the initial stages of building the tribe that will receive that energy.
Yeah, it does.
I don't know.
And
Maybe not.
who knows? But
Maybe we'll end up here in Siem Reap in this splendid villa.
yeah, but that's
I don't have any more tea.
But that's something that I
I
live
really
with.
want more tea.
Okay. Can we finish this just for
But do we? How does it finish?
It's almost
Isn't that
finished.
finished like that?
It's almost finished. That's something I live with every day, and it is sad, is knowing that you're not going to outlive me. I'm going to have time by myself that could be very long, and that's something I live with every day. And it's hard for me to know that, even though I'm safe and I will have what I need.
My way of being with you has strengthened you in being able to make choices without my involvement. And so therefore you can make certain large choices without worrying about that. The thing you have to worry about is finding stuff and losing stuff.
Yeah.
That is because I'm like the doggy who sniffs out little. Your necklace is over here in the corner underneath the curtain.
Yeah.
I'm like, these.